Sunshine is the best way to dry watercolor. They dry a little bit brighter, they'll dry a little bit lighter, but they're nice and bright. Nice way to dry them. I think my watercolor is just about ready to go. Okay. Totally dried my watercolor. I'm ready for my second wash. First thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to take my knead eraser. I'm just going to erase some of these pencil lines that I don't need. I don't need those up along there. I can see where I'm supposed to go. Around the barn here I can see where I'm supposed to go, or where my lines are. I can just take kind of, I want all these interior ones because I still kind of need those, but I can lighten them up a little bit. Get rid of some of them around the trees. If you've gone over them with even water, you probably won't be able to lift them out, but I'm just going to try to lift some of them out a little bit, especially right up against my whites. I really want to get those out. Yep. Little happy accident there. Left a little something skipped there, so I'm going to just make that a little snow field. All right. Second wash is dry paper, wet paint. First wash was wet under wet. I wet the paper and then I came in with really wet paint. Second wash, I've dried it. I'm working on a dry surface with wet paint. Looking at my mountains, they look like they're a little bit on the blue side, but I'm actually going to do a little bit of this neutral color as well. I just want to darken that up a little bit of that red, a little bit of the yellow, but keeping it on the blue side, a little more blue. Neutral color. Second wash, color's just a little bit thicker. And I'm ready to go. Here, I'm going to lay my color down, follow my pencil line up to that little snowfield that I just created. That just kind of created itself actually. Along there, up underneath here. Reload my brush along here, right along the top of my mountains. Now, I'm kind of coming down and around my trees for now. I kind of cut them out negatively. I'm liking that color back there of the mountains. Bring that down and cut those trees out negatively for now. Did I mix up enough paint? I think I did. Around that tree, down a little bit. I can always come back in and fix those trees a little bit. Some edges of those trees, some sky holes showing through. I'm going to come back and work that tree a little bit later. And I think that works. Like my line of trees there. Mountains look like they're in the background back there. Now, I think I'm going to move up here and use some of that same color a little bit up here. A little bit of that blue. Actually, I'm going to let that sit for a bit. I'm going to go to a smaller brush. I'm going to work on my barn a little bit. I kind of missed doing my barn roof in my first wash, so I'm going to do it now. I'm just going to wet that up with a little bit smaller brush. Just going to let that sit up there for a second. I'm going to grab some of that blue, and I'm just going to do these windows in a little bit of that blue. They're just reflecting the sky there. Just puts a little bit of that sky down here in your painting. A little bit up on this one as well. Let that sit a little bit. It's just kind of a grayish color as well, but I think it's more on the reddish side. A little yellow to it. More on the brownish yellowish side, I think. Grab some of that color. Just going to drop it in here. Let it do its thing. Corral it a little bit, clean it up a little bit. Now this side of my barn is It's a little bit of a gray color as well, but I think I'm just gonna punch that up a little bit. I'm just gonna make it more of an orangish barn. It's my painting, I can do whatever I want. I'll grab a little bit more of that red, a little bit more of that yellow. I'm just gonna do this side of my barn just a little bit more oranger. Around my windows. And then real lightly, I'm going to come on this side. I'm just going to lay a little bit of color down. And then with some water, I'm just going to pull that out so it's nice and light. We'll come back in and put another wash on that as well later on. For now, I'm going to keep it nice and light. All right, I'm going to move up here to kind of my rocks up here. I'm going to stick with my small brush here. Obviously, my lights come in this direction. It's hitting this side of my barn, not the other side. So I want to put some shadows in my rocks. And I'm going to mix up, again, a darker purple. I just kind of want to pick some rocks out of here, these nice lights. And I'm just going to come on the opposite side of them. So sunlight's coming this direction. I'm just thinking kind of like this is a shadow on some of these areas. Lay a little bit of that color down. I'm going to rinse my brush, and then I'm just going to pull some of those off a little bit. Just kind of reshape them a little bit. Just kind of starts making it look like there's some texture in there, something happening. Don't quite look like rocks quite yet, but we'll keep working with them. Tide's starting to come in a little bit. And I think right along that tide line, right along these rocks, I'm going to go with a nice dark color. I really kind of want to bring that out. Really set all those rocks down on the ground, down on my water line. All right, so that's pretty much second wash on everything except for my trees, but I kind of want to let my mountains dry first before I come back in and start working with my trees. I don't want that ballooning up into that color too much, and I want to leave all that nice light along those edges. So I'm going to let this dry now in the sunshine again, and then I'll come back in and put a second wash on my trees. And then I'll probably start putting some darker areas up here in my rocks, and start looking at my value sketch, seeing where I want to go darker, lighter on some areas, and then I'll just probably put a few more darks in here. So I'm going to set in the sunshine, let it dry off again, and then I'll come back in and start working on my trees.